When will the Nintendo Switch 2 actually release? We talk about it today. My friends, welcome back to the unofficial, official #1 Nintendo podcast. It is the Mario Matter, hosted by Nintendo YouTuber EmSwizzle or Max. Call me either one. I'm here to quickly introduce what this great podcast episode will contain. However, I know that we have a lot of audio listeners in attendance, but for our video listeners, you may notice I'm not on the usual podcast set. I just had a surgery done, and I cannot sit for long periods of time, so I am standing at my desk for this episode. But on this episode, in a few seconds here, we're going to go over some Nintendo news, then dive into the big segment, the title of the podcast, when will the Switch 2 actually release? After that, we dive into a viewer-submitted Q&A segment, question and answer, answering your questions. It's a great time. And our guest today is Alex from Nintendo Life. Nintendo Life being one of the major, biggest Nintendo gaming outlets out there, press outlets, whatever you want to call it, and Alex is with them, and he's a great guy. I've been watching Alex's content everywhere for years now, and I've wanted to get him on the show, and we finally were able to do so. It was a great chat, a great laugh, and I don't want to delay this podcast episode further, so with that being said, let's not delay it. Bruce Buffer, read the intro for the podcast, and let's start talking to Alex and have a great time. Let's go.
Welcome to the Mario Matter, the #1 Nintendo podcast.
Alex, how's it going? Welcome to the show.
Hello. It's wonderful to be here. Thank you for having me.
Heck yeah. I was hoping that you might, not to fanboy out here, but I was hoping that you might hit us with your intro so we can confirm that it's actually you.
Hello there, lovely people. It's Alex from Nintendo Life here.
We got him. We got him on the show, guys. We've confirmed it is him. Welcome to the show. It is great to have you on. I've wanted to have you on for some time, so it's greatly appreciated. But before we actually begin recording here, you told me, Alex, I was saying to the viewers that I have to stand because I just got a surgery done. I can't sit. You said that you have an interesting story to tell us about how you couldn't walk.
I said marginally entertaining.
Okay, there you go.
To point that out first.
Either way.
I couldn't walk for a couple of days, and then I had a dodgy foot for the time afterwards. Strangely, at a time when a load of my other colleagues had injuries on their foot. Weird time. But I got mine, I believe, I don't know this for certain, because, time makes fools of us all, playing Half-Life, the original Half-Life. I don't know whether you've ever played the original Half-Life. I played it for the first time, and I got to the Nephilim, which is the final boss. The name won't give anything away, spoilers, but this is a spoiler. I hate it. It's awful. It's an incredible amount of nonsense. It's just a dissatisfying final boss, and is basically an exercise in save scumming. And I believe, whereas my foot should have been flat, I had it like that, and I was just pushing down. I was so frustrated. I ended up overstretching or just sort of stressing out my tendons, so I couldn't walk for 2 days. So thanks, Half-Life.
Thank you to Half-Life. Lawsuit incoming? No, that is some story, though. That's some story.
I do hasten to remind you, it was marginally interesting. Was all I promised.
It was pretty interesting to me. I was wondering how we'd go from Half-Life to a can't walk situation. But you can walk now, if I assume correct, right?
Yes, I can walk now.
Awesome. But, Alex, we have some cool Nintendo news to dive into here. We can go ahead and dive into our first piece of news, which is more of a rumor than actual news, but I did want to get your thoughts on the whole thing. So for those who are unfamiliar on how this format works, I will read the news and all of the details for our listeners, and then I will have a little open discussion with Alex, who is our guest here. Our first piece of news or rumor is actually, it's a rumor, not sure how credible it is, but the rumor states that a Nintendo Direct might be happening in August, or at least sometime soon. Now, the rumor comes via PH Brazil, who is a video game insider, leaker, supposedly. He apparently broke the story of how the Switch 2 release is pushed to 2025 as opposed to the late 2024 release that we were all expecting a bit earlier this year. And he claims that a Direct will happen sooner rather than later. Mostly what I want to get, Alex, is when do you think a Nintendo Direct is happening? Do you think this month, next month? Do we agree with the rumor? What's the word?
I've been doing this for nearly 10 years, and I have reached the conclusion that it is pointless to predict, to be brutally honest. There are always going to be rumors going around, and oftentimes they are credible, but more often than not. The rumors that aren't credible don't tend to get as much traction, but generally, I've got to be honest, I just ignore rumors these days. There are certain rumors when you hear them, and as I say, I've been doing this for so long that I hear it and I go, oh, okay, no, maybe, there could be something there. And that's going back to the original leak of the Switch, the Switch One, with the Eurogamer leak, and it's like Eurogamer, and they're showing off this, and I was like, okay, yeah, no, this seems real, and it turned out to be real. But the thing is, when it comes to directs, it's always a Nintendo Direct is going to happen in this time frame. And it's like, well, you could just be throwing a dart at a dartboard. Yeah. You're probably going to be right sometimes. It's a reasonably safe bet to make. And also, Nintendo, I'm certain will reschedule things if something isn't going right. It happens to the best of us in this sort of industry whenever you're trying to produce something for a particular deadline. And so things will often be pushed back. And so the rumor can originally actually be credible, and then something delays it, and then it comes out another month. So it's a very boring answer, but my answer is I don't know. And frankly, I'm not going to make any prediction.
Yeah.
But I imagine we'll get one before the end of the year. How's that for a lukewarm take?
That's a phenomenal answer. If you're asking me, I think it is a safe bet, like you said. I would guess September. I think an August Direct is kind of odd, I feel. It's just, you would do it in September like all the previous years. Maybe.
I mean, you say that, but Nintendo doesn't play by a rule book. Yeah. Nintendo does what Nintendo wants to do, whatever makes sense for Nintendo. And if it makes sense to have an August Direct for them, they will do an August Direct. You can't pigeonhole them. Yeah. The number of times that I've seen predictions saying, oh, well, we always get a Direct in January, and then that year there is no Direct in January or February. I can't remember off the top of my head. And so, as I say, I don't put any stock in trying to predict when stuff is going to happen, because also it can set you up for disappointment. Whereas if it's just sort of, you wake up one day, well, not wake up, it's mid-afternoon for me, and it's sort of, oh, there's going to be a Nintendo Direct tomorrow. It's like, I've got to change all my plans for the week. But it's more exciting as a result.
Yeah, for sure. It's kind of like that saying, it's like, if you don't expect anything, you won't be upset, or something like that. I kind of like how you go about it, because for me personally, the reason why I even put it on here and like to predict is because I'm just into the whole leak and rumor thing, whether it's true or not. But like for people like me, I'm gonna be let down if it's not in September. I kind of like your way of going about things. I might have to adopt that style of just waiting and seeing.
Yeah, just wait and see. It's Nintendo. They will do it when they're ready.
Direct may be happening soon. I'm not going to get you to predict anything. We're all good there. But our next piece of confirmed news that is actually happening here is Nintendo is re-releasing actually, 2 Zelda amiibo ahead of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. Now, the 2 amiibo in question are the Link amiibo from Link's Awakening that came with the Switch, and the Zelda amiibo from Wind Waker that released, I believe, in 2016. Now, in the US, these are available for pre-order at GameStop, Best Buy, and Target. Just a good piece of news, not much to dive into. Alex, do you have either of these amiibo?
I think I've got Zelda. It's been a long time since I've looked at my amiibo shelf with any sort of critical eye. I definitely don't have the Link's Awakening one. I know that for certain. But I'm fairly certain I've probably got Zelda kicking around somewhere, yeah. The only thing about this news that I have of note is minor disappointment, because it sort of suggests, at least at launch, again, it's not a guarantee, it's Nintendo, we're probably not going to get a new amiibo for this. Maybe. As I say, it's Nintendo. Don't try and pigeonhole them. You will just make a fool of yourself. But it is sort of like, why are they doing the Zelda one? I mean, it clearly suggests that there's going to be some sort of compatibility. Again, doesn't guarantee it. Isn't life grand? But at the same time, it could just be that they want there to be plenty of Zelda amiibo out there, plenty of Link amiibo, and there will be a new one. That would be my ideal, and that would be ideal for me, because I want a new Zelda amiibo with Tri. I think it's called Tri.
I want nothing more than a nice 2D Zelda amiibo. But like you said, this is probably the nail in the coffin, unless they drop something. So, I mean, they have over a month to do so, but I feel like if they haven't, dropped it by now, we're probably not going to get a Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. I don't want to say that because, like you said, I don't want to predict things, but like you said, this is probably the nail in the coffin for any Echoes of Wisdom amiibo. Unfortunate. Quite
possibly, yes. But again, I'd love to be proven wrong. I really, really would, because I think it would be a fantastic addition.
What could happen? I don't want to predict things anymore, but I just like to think of all the possibilities here.
I don't want to put you off. I don't want to put you off this stuff.
All good. But they dropped something like the Zelda and Ganondorf amiibo a little bit after Tears of the Kingdom launched. Maybe we can get something a bit afterwards, but I don't really think so, because I feel like if you're going to have an amiibo, you would want it at launch. Like they had the Link Tears of the Kingdom amiibo at launch, whereas I just don't think that they would drop anything afterwards. So yeah, we have Link and Zelda. I'm afraid to ask you questions, Alex. Do you think there will be any amiibo compatibility, if I can ask that?
I think it would be more surprising if there wasn't. As I don't want to go on about how long I've been doing this, but it is coming up to my 10-year anniversary for this sort of thing. But the amount, you just learn to hedge everything, because in YouTube, sort of if you predict something and you get something wrong, people go, you got it wrong, and I just got tired of it. So it's like, I would assume it is more likely for there to be compatibility than there not. So yeah. That's my get out clause.
Yeah, and if they're releasing these on launch day for Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, you would think they are maybe compatible. But we can move on if you want any of those. I'm not sure, Alex, do you know if they're available in the UK? I know in the US over here they're available. Do you know if they're up for pre-order?
I haven't read anything about the UK, but there's usually some sort of parity between the two regions, but again, I don't know, and I don't know for mainland Europe either.
All good. But our next piece of news, I actually pulled this from Nintendo Life, because, you are with Nintendo Life, and I was like, what, how can we, I'm not sure if you'd seen this, but maybe we can connect here with Nintendo Life. I mean, this news has making the rounds everywhere, but I did find this there, and I did want to bring it up. A bit of a random piece of news here to combat the lack of Nintendo news. A man has set a world record for the most gaming consoles connected to one TV. I saw this on Nintendo Life, and I was like, man, Alex is the perfect guy to talk about this with. He has Doshin the Giant behind him. We could both dream of having 444 gaming consoles connected to one TV. Now, the man's name,
was it 444? I thought it was 144.
444.
444?
I pray I'm not wrong. Do I have to research this? Oh, God.
I'm going to double check on NintendoLife.com.
Yeah. Check it out.
To make sure, because I read it is, you are absolutely bang on, 444.
444. We are not sure if that is a special number to the man, but his name, if I can say this right, is Ibrahim Al Nasser. Am I saying this right, Alex? Do you have any insight?
I'll have to see it written down before I can make a pop.
Yeah.
I do have a degree in linguistics, so who knows? Maybe I'll be able to. Ibrahim Al Nasser.
It's a tough one. I don't know.
No, Arabic languages, I'm really not good at. I'm not comfortable sort of trying to make any sort of... I just press spacebar. I do apologize.
All good. But that happened over the past week or so, or it came out in the past week or so. That's a lot of gaming consoles. More than we've probably seen. Well, probably not you. You've probably seen more than 400 gaming consoles. I have not.
I think I've seen more than 400 gaming consoles in one room.
Okay, wow.
It was a big room, admittedly, but Centre for Computing History in Cambridge in the UK. They've got a storage area, which is basically just like a loft or an attic. And it is like, I had never seen a multi-mega before, which is like this, almost like a portable CD player size thing that plays Sega CD and Mega Drive. I've mixed up regions there. So Sega CD, Genesis, or Mega Drive, Mega CD, all that sort of thing. Maybe 32X, I can never remember. I'd never seen one before. Didn't even know it existed. I think I saw 6 when I was there, to give it some context.
444 is a ton. Let me just ask one last question. If you could have, so he must have some duplicates. There's no way that there's 444 in like unique, I don't know. If you could have 400 of one console, Alex, what are you picking?
Are we talking specifically ones that would plug into a TV? Are we talking home consoles, or are we talking handheld?
Let's make it broad. Anything.
Because, that's a hell of a... I mean, my wife would leave me. I don't think she'd leave me. She'd just make me get rid of all of them. But I think... Oh, it's so hard.
It is tough.
It's so hard to... I mean, there's a very boring part of me that just thinks Switch, because you can do handheld and home console, and it can do a load of stuff. But if we're talking purely just for my own purposes, maybe the GBA.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe. I love the G. There's just something nice about the way that I've got one here. Just something nice about the way that it feels in the hand. I love the GBA. I wish I used it more and that I had more use for it, but it's just a lovely one to hold. Original, not SP. I'm not a big SP fan, and it's definitely not because I'm bitter, because I never had one when I was a child.
I actually have an SP, and honestly, I kind of wish that I have the original one. Seems more comfortable.
Yeah, especially, I mean, it's probably fine when you're, sort of when I was growing up, I probably would have loved an SP, but with big hands like this, even the original Game Boy Advance it's a little bit on the small side, but it's far more manageable.
Yeah, and speaking of small Game Boy Advance, if you did have 400 of them, it wouldn't take up too much space as opposed to like a PlayStation.
That's true.
So
yeah,
making smart choices here, Alex. But our next piece of news, I did want to acknowledge, just because it did happen over the past weekend. I can guide us through this. The Pokemon, I believe, like anime series voice actor, Rachael Lillis has passed away, unfortunately, over the last week. She did the voices of Misty, Jessie, and Jigglypuff. I did want to acknowledge this. We send our condolences to everybody that is affected by this, and the Pokemon Company did put out a little statement saying, quote, "We are deeply saddened to hear about the passing of Rachael Lillis. Her performance in the Pokemon animated series will be cherished by the many fans who grew up with the characters she brought to life with her special talent. She will be remembered for generations to come, and we will always keep her close in our hearts. Our thoughts and condolences are with her family and friends." And we're pretty much backing that statement. Condolences to everybody who has been affected.
Yeah, that was utterly heartbreaking to read, because I was never enormously into the Pokemon anime growing up, but that was mainly because I just couldn't access it. I didn't have the correct TV system in the UK in order to be able to watch it with any regularity, at least not, sort of in any sort of progression. But I remember it so vividly, and I remember so clearly going around a friend's house and just sort of walking in, and he had Sky, which is what you needed back then to really watch with any regularity. And I just remember seeing it on this massive TV, massive for the time. It was probably 40 inches. But I remember seeing it and just, it was huge. It was huge for me. And I had the manga as well, which obviously isn't as relevant, but no, I mean, the voice of Misty, voice of Jessie as well. I can hear it in my head right now when I think. So that was horrible to read. Yeah. Really heartbreaking.
Unfortunately, I never had experienced any of it. Did they keep there's still new Pokemon anime being made, right? Is there?
Yes. Yeah.
I've unfortunately never touched any of it. When it probably started, I probably wasn't born. I don't know. I'm younger than you think, Alex, but I just never was into it, never really knew about it. But now this kind of wants to make me go back and check it out. But I may get to that. I do want to get to that, but I did want to acknowledge this piece of news. But Our next topic, Alex, is the big one. It's the big one. It's the main segment of the show that I want to talk about with you. And this includes the biggest piece of news. Anybody listening that has maybe seen all of the Nintendo news recently might know what we're going to dive into. And I'll go ahead and read the piece of news, then we'll dive into the whole topic. There was a piece of news, a story that made the rounds over the past week of a man named Chris Dring, who works for Game Industry, who has said that developers are not expecting the Nintendo Switch 2 to launch this fiscal year, and that they're hoping for an April or May 2025 launch. It's a big discussion. Let's not delay it. Let's go ahead and get right into it. My friends, if you over the past week searched up Nintendo on Google and then hit the news tab, you might have seen a story that I just talked about how the Nintendo Switch 2 may or may not, we have to go off a rumor here that is being backed by somebody else, but a rumor that Nintendo Switch 2 not devs, I guess, but people who are making games are being told that the Switch 2 may not be launching this fiscal year, and they're hoping for April or May of 2025. Now, Chris Dring from Games Industry, made this story public, and it's since been backed by Eurogamer. Now, the first thing that I want to say here is we were told, Alex, that the Switch 2 would be announced within this fiscal year in that tweet, right? Apart from that, this isn't like breaking news, is it? Because we were never told that it would launch in the fiscal year,
I'm glad you said that and not me, because I didn't want to be a complete Debbie Downer about things. But yeah, there was a part of me that really hoped that it would launch on the 3rd of March. I thought that would be really, really fun. Do I mean March or May? Whenever March. It is March, isn't it? Yeah, when the Switch came out. I get May and March mixed up all the time. It's a nightmare. But I was hoping that would be the case, but realistically, I expected it to not be this fiscal year for a number of reasons. They need some breathing space in order to announce it. And if they had if they'd said it's going to be announced this year, we could have expected it by the end of the year. The fact that they said this fiscal year means that they were going to announce it in 2025. There's no reason that they would have announced it this year if they were going to say fiscal. Mm-hmm. Unless it was specifically an investor thing, but which it may have been. But even then, I think, it's just easier. They had to go out of their way to say fiscal year. So I always expected it to be announced in 2025. And even if they announced it in January 2025, that is not a lot of time to still then release it this fiscal year. So my response was, yeah.
Of course, yeah. It's nothing groundbreaking because, once again, we could have expected as much. April or May of 2025, it's still like kind of on track with what maybe the public was expecting, like that March, April, May release date. So it's not, I feel like, as bad of news as people are making it sound.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it's more, as much as anything, it's more a reminder, isn't it? It's a reminder that, hey, Switch 2, nearly a year away. It's which when you're in for fans as well as myself, but I'm here going, what have I got to cover? I've got to make some videos, and it's definitely harder work, but for the fans as well, because obviously I'm a Nintendo fan myself and I want to play the new games. I want to see what they do with all this sort of stuff. But yeah, to say I wasn't surprised, but yeah, it is more of a reminder that, hey, it's still further away than you would like, and that's never anything really anyone wants to.
Yeah. I mean, even still, like with their whole game lineup this year, we have everything. We have something for, I think, every month, if I'm not mistaken, until December. We have August with MBO.
I know we don't have anything for December because we've been discussing it internally, going, what are they going to do in December? And there's likely to be something. I'd be very surprised if there wasn't a December release, because they want to capitalize on what I know used to be referred to as the PGP.
Yep.
The primary gifting period, which is basically the end of the year, holidays, Christmas, all that sort of stuff. Of course, they would have to suck all the life out of it, wouldn't they, businesses? Anyway, they're not going to want to miss out on that. They're going to want what would be referred to as a holiday release, or a Christmas release in the UK. I would argue end of year holiday release. I don't care. I don't think it's all business talk.
Wait, was there something in December of last year?
Oh, now you're asking.
I don't.
Hold, please.
I don't remember something, but you're saying that they might have something in December.
I'm less confident than I was 15 seconds ago.
I know, Mario RPG was the mid-November release. Would that have just been? I don't know. And then this year we go into Mario and Luigi.
I know what I can do. We have an excellent running series on Nintendo Life, the YouTube channel, where we look at the upcoming games, and I can just look and see what games are featured on there.
Let's see, but
in silence.
yeah. All good. I'm gonna try to talk while you do that. But yeah, I would like a little December game, even like a little eShop $15, like a little something that they could drop, or a brand new game. Who knows? But yeah, we have Emio, then Zelda, then we've got. Oh God, am I missing? No, then we go to Mario Party, then we go to Mario and Luigi, and then
we've got Donkey Kong as well. Or is that next year?
That's in January of next year.
January next year.
Yeah.
They could have done that in December.
I know.
So there's got to be something coming, surely.
Yeah. Why is it so far away? It's probably already like near done, probably. Like, why is it so far? No idea.
Here we go.
Here
you go. YouTube search is not helping, but I managed to find it in the CMS. Oh, yes. There was Nintendo published DLC, Scarlet and Violet.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
I was thinking, wasn't it a Pokemon thing? But then I thought, no, you're thinking of Scarlet and Violet. I was thinking of Scarlet and Violet. Just
both, yeah.
just the DLC.
Yeah. So that was last year.
What a caper that was.
And then this year, I mean, not to predict anything, but maybe in a September Direct they could announce something. Who knows? I don't know. And not to get the rumor mill started, but that could happen in December. That could be the holiday. I mean, but they have everything, every single month covered until January, assuming that December gets something. I think it, as you said, like they're saying fiscal year to be announced next year probably, or else they wouldn't say that. I feel like it's kind of weird to announce Switch 2, and I've been a believer of this until right this second. It's kind of weird to announce it when you have Mario and Luigi and Donkey Kong Country releasing like ahead. If they announced it after Donkey Kong Country Returns releases, I feel like, I don't know. I was going to say that's a power move because you have no upcoming games, but by then they would probably have something else on the calendar. So I don't know.
They will have something else by then. And to be brutally honest, I imagine, obviously, I'm going off on a tangent here a little bit, but if there is backwards compatibility, which I would assume, given my gut feeling and nothing else with the original Switch, it could well be that we're looking at a system that is more akin to something like the Xbox One X, as opposed to the Xbox. Oh, that's a bad example because they do a lot of backwards compatibility with that as well. Backwards compatibility is largely a given these days. It's not guaranteed, but it is more likely than not. I wouldn't be surprised if the Switch continued to be supported for at least another 12 months. I'm honestly feeling that the Switch may actually have another 2 or 3 years left in it, alongside a successor.
Yeah, no, I agree because, not everyone's going to buy a Switch 2 right at launch. You still have those Switch players.
No.
Yeah, so you want to put something.
They tried that with the Wii U.
Yeah.
It didn't work.
Yeah.
Also, it means that they don't have to put all of their eggs into one basket with a new system, even though, again, I would presume it's going to be very similar to the original Switch. And there's actually something, I haven't actually mentioned this in a video.
Oh, wow. Exclusive.
But you get an exclusive. An exclusive thought I had with very little to substantiate it. So recently, Nintendo announced a new charging system for the, I say new, a charging system for the Joy-Con that allows you to, and they were like, hey, it's for NES World Tournament, we promise that's why it's got all that space at the bottom so that these fit on. I say absolute buttons to that. I think that is additional space in order to be able to charge longer Joy-Con.
Yeah.
Joy-Con that wouldn't fit.
Beefier.
Or that have maybe a bit of a handle at the back or something like that to be a little bit more ergonomic.
Mm-hmm.
That's my gut feeling, that it is compatible with multiple kinds of Joy-Con. That does go against, as one of my colleagues pointed out to me, that does go against the patent for the magnetic rail system. Frankly, I hope they don't use a magnetic rail system, because that is a terrible idea.
Yeah.
Because they say, like, oh, no, it's electromagnets. And it's like, oh, great. So if it runs out of battery and you're holding it, it just goes flat and it just falls out. Terrible idea.
That's bad, yeah.
Absolutely atrocious. Nintendo is way too sort of like... Nintendo innovates, but they innovate in clever ways. They never innovate with like, hey, look, sort of this, we're using this brand new technology that's never been done before. It's like, no, they take existing technology and apply it in interesting ways. Infrared cameras have been around for the longest time. They stuck one on the bottom of a Joy-Con. That's not new technology, but it was an interesting, relatively new way of doing things. And hey, some games even used it. So there's that.
Mm-hmm. I thought that whole announcement of the Joy-Con charging dock thing was so weird, and I feel like if you're dropping it right at the end of the Switch, like, it's obviously going to be used for Switch 2, probably.
There's that. There's the sorry to interrupt, but there's the alternate school of thought as well.
Yeah.
Wherein the Joy-Con, the current Joy-Con, are not compatible with Switch 2's charging rail system. So you need an external accessory in order to be able to charge them. The main downside with that is that, you can just use an existing Joy-Con charger, and they still sell them, and like the charging grip and everything. So that doesn't hold up as well, but it is more grounded.
Beefier Joy-Cons hopefully are on the agenda. I would like just, not the whole magnetic thing, but just better, improved, not gonna snap off Joy-Cons. That's what I want.
Yeah. I mean, if you're snapping your Joy-Con off, you're mistreating them.
Yes.
But, some people do. So, you've got to accommodate everyone as best you can.
Indeed. But I do want to go back to this. Our segment is when will Switch 2 release? And I don't want to, I loved our tangent,
I
Alex.
knew this would happen.
And it's a great tangent. I don't want to, force it to make a prediction, but maybe I'll say something and it might be a nod. So we believe, maybe, that April or May 2025 is rather likely, maybe.
I would say it's not unfeasible by any means.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's entirely likely that could be the release date. I would be disappointed. I tell you what, I would be disappointed if it was later.
Yes, same. I mean,
it's like talking to a politician, isn't it?
Yeah. I feel like anything after that, you're dropping it in the summertime, which is kind of weird. It's
not a great time to release a console. I'm sure it's been done. I don't have an encyclopedic knowledge of the month that every console came out. I can barely remember what I had for breakfast this morning. That's not true. I have the same thing every day.
Same.
But, I have peanut butter on toast. Lovely.
I have a protein shake. Just down it.
That works as well. I don't think I've ever had one.
This is a great conversation.
Well, I'm glad you think so. I feel like I'm derailing everything, but as long as you're happy, I'm happy.
No, this is great. This is quality. This is quality. Yeah. But a fall release wouldn't be bad, but that's probably over a year away from today, which would suck. So we're hoping for...
That would be... I mean, I really feel like they've already been eking it out, and I feel like COVID is possibly a factor as to why it's been, I wouldn't be surprised if a successor to the Switch was originally planned for an earlier year, maybe 2023, maybe 2024, but due to a sort of a knock-on effect from COVID, chip shortages, all this sort of thing, it's just resulted in a later release date.
Yeah, but my prediction, I believe it's going to be around the April-May range. I'm a believer. I'm a hoper, and hopefully my hoping can come true. But that is our Switch 2 talk. That is hopefully gonna happen. I'm hoping. Us Nintendo YouTubers, we need something to talk about. And while I feel like there are a good amount of things to talk about, we have EMEO dropping in 2 weeks, I feel like a new console could breathe life into Nintendo YouTube.
I think a big part, there's a lot of, I think there's fatigue about the Switch, to be honest. And not just for us, but I mean also just broadly
overall
in the world. It's like, oh, the Switch has been out for ages. What else you got kind of thing. And I don't think that's unreasonable. And it has been a flipping long time. Yeah. And I think, to be honest, I think this is a weird one. I think it harmed Tears of the Kingdom ever so slightly.
Might have, yeah. For sure.
Because, I think Tears probably should have, in theory, again, we're going back to the COVID thing, that really upset everything. I think Tears possibly should have come out maybe 6 months to a year beforehand, and not just because I was on holiday when it came out. I booked it before they announced the date. Yeah. So I was downloading it over Airbnb Wi-Fi, which was actually quite good.
Oh, nice.
Big up Barcelona.
Heck
Lovely place.
Sounds like a nice place. Last little question that I had, I did bring it up. Are you, of course you probably will, but are you excited rather for the EMEO game dropping in 2 weeks?
I'm not going to lie, I'm a little bit disappointed because when they did the initial reveal, I thought, are they doing some sort of like proper horror game? And I'm not big into like horror films. I don't know, but when I've got agency in a horror game, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm all in for that. I've the original Slender. I couldn't deal with it. Slender, the 8 page. I think it was called the 8 pages after the while. I remember trying to play it once. And then I saw the Slender Man, and I just immediately slammed the escape button. I was just like, no, I can't deal with this. I'm a lot better now. But, and then when they revealed it was Famicom Detective Club, I was obviously very excited for the people who were excited for Famicom Detective Club. But from a purely selfish point of view, I was a bit like, oh, okay, fine, okay, whatever. It's not my thing as much. Visual novels and not something. I mean, I should probably give it a go because I think it's a fun concept, but I do think that also the artwork has taken the teeth out of EMEO as a character quite a lot, because like those initial trailers, it was like, I don't know if it was whether it was actually live action or anything like that, but it looked live action. It looked like a real sort of thing. I was like, oh god, Nintendo, just slow down, you're going crazy. And then and then there's just like a drawing, and it's like it's taking the teeth out of the character a bit. I have seen that the themes are still going to be pretty strong, so we will wait and see. I'm not making any snap judgments rather, but I wish I was more excited. Let's put it that way.
Same here. But that's our next thing to look forward to. But our next segment, as of now, actually, to look forward to in the current moment, is our next segment, the Answering Your Questions segment. Alex, do you know what we're doing over there, by any chance? Maybe?
What do you mean? As in answering questions?
Yes.
I can handle that, yeah.
User
questions, isn't it?
What?
User questions.
Yes, correct. These are user-submitted questions, and we're going there right now. My friends, you have made it to the world's favorite segment, the Answering Your Questions segment, where me and Alex answer your questions that you have asked us. We have about 9-10 questions submitted by you. If you do want to submit questions, there is a link down below in the podcast description where you can go ahead and do so every single Wednesday. There's a brand new post for the newest episode. And our first question comes from Sirius Serval, if I'm saying that right. And they ask, this is a bit of a deep one, Alex. When did you feel like you truly started to appreciate video games? What age, console, etc.? Not deep, but like, gotta think back a little bit.
Oh, yeah. It's harder for some than others, I hasten to point out. It's a boring answer because it was my first experience as well. At least the first real experience I had. My parents, I don't remember the purchase, and I don't remember it not being in the house because I was very young, like 3 or something. give or take. Maybe a little bit older, maybe a little bit younger. Those years are a bit of a blur, to be honest. But it was a Master System 2. They bought it for my brother, and we had it plugged into not the living room TV, because my dad had to watch Star Trek The Next Generation and couldn't be interrupted. So instead we had it plugged into the kitchen TV, which was a TV of about that size. I would say it was probably about maybe 12, 13-inch TV or something like that. Obviously, it was a CRT. The bracket that held it up on the wall, because it was a heavy thing. That was a serious bracket. And we had it plugged into that, and we had it plugged in. We'd have to bring it out onto the kitchen table, because I remember how stretched the cables always were. And you had to have the console near you, at least reasonably near you. My mum wasn't happy about it, because the pause button was on the console.
Yeah.
But I remember not thinking it would work without a cartridge in it. I thought you had to have a cartridge. And I think my parents and I think my brother thought the same thing. I wouldn't be surprised if my parents bought it and they said, oh, includes Sonic the Hedgehog, and then were a bit annoyed sort of when they plugged it in and, stuck a cartridge in. Oh, there's no other cartridge in here. Oh, that's annoying. But I just remember not thinking it would work. And maybe it was my brother said, sort of to play Sonic, you've got to not put the cartridge in or something like that. And I remember thinking, that's rubbish.
Yeah.
Like, even as a tiny child, I thought, no, things go in things to make things happen. But I tried it, and I just, sort of, the idea, sort of that you could just play something like things were happening on the screen, and I was making those things happen. We didn't have a computer at the time. We didn't have a PC. We just had a TV, and it was always a passive experience, unless you were doing CFAX, which is something that I may have to explain. It was like an interactive, almost like proto-internet in some ways. I mean, it came out after the internet, but the internet wasn't a big thing. Yeah. And you could access informations like sports results, which I was massive on, as you can imagine. No, I don't think I ever looked at them. But you could access information through your TV using your remote control. And you had to press a specific combination of buttons. It would take time to load. You'd have to wait for it to refresh. But it was bizarre. CFAX, look it up. It's good fun. But yeah, I was just controlling, and things were happening. And that was magical. And I had friends who had consoles and stuff like that, but it was that first one in the home.
Yeah.
That first one where it was and it ran terribly because of the terrible TV we plugged into it. I've still got it.
Sick.
It's right here. This is the original Master System.
Oh, look at that. The original.
It's my original.
I mean, your
original.
I mean, the Alex played copy.
Yeah.
There you
How's
go.
about that? I did not have that planned.
There you go. One joke that I was waiting to make that you were talking about was how you couldn't connect it to the main TV because your dad's there watching Star Trek. That's where Nintendo came along to fix it with the Wii U. They were gonna have you play. Yeah. They were ahead of their time, or I guess behind the time.
20 years too late.
Yes,
yeah.
I guess they were behind the time. But this didn't catch on, unfortunately. It wasn't the greatest selling console, but. My answer, and by the way, I actually love the Wii U. It's my favorite console of all time.
I have a lot of love for the Wii U, yeah. I just don't use it anymore.
My answer, I don't really know. I've always liked video games. It's tough to give a time where I really said, man, I appreciate this. But when I was kind of born into the GameCube era a little bit, few years after the GameCube came out, which is kind of weird.
Oh, my bones are crumbling.
And my first ever game was Shrek 2. And playing as Gingy in Shrek 2 on the GameCube was like magic. It was like crazy. I was running around as a gingerbread man. So that was kind of cool. That's
real gaming right there.
Heck yeah. That's the real stuff. I did get to playing Mario Bros. Wii when that came out. I wasn't very good. But I do know I played that, and maybe it was there where I was like, "Yeah, this is my jam." I was starting to get to go to GameStop, and I remember I was young and I wanted to buy Mario and Sonic at the London 2012 Olympics for the Wii, and I was like, "I want that." And I think maybe once I booted that up, I was like, "Yeah, this is it." So I'd say the Wii GameCube era, somewhere in that middle range. Good times. I Like Trains asks, for Switch 2, would you rather a 1080p OLED screen or a 1440p LCD screen?
Easy, 1080p. Have you seen 1080p at a small size? It's absolutely fine. To be honest, personally, I find 1080p to be largely fine for most content. I don't have a 4K Blu-ray player because even though I've got a 4K TV and everything, it doesn't improve the signal enough. There's so much when it comes to in regards to diminishing returns with this sort of thing. Also, again, it's a small screen. You don't need any more than 1080p.
Yes.
Frankly, 720p would still be fine. And also, the problem with you bump up the resolution, you're going to use more power, and battery life is king when it comes to portable devices, 100% of the time. You can have... I've got this device. I did a video on it on the channel just because it's slightly Switch-esque, and I thought it'd be vaguely interesting, and then it turned out to be a bit of a rabbit hole for me, and it took longer than I wanted. But either way, it has like it's a 1600p screen, technically. I think it's 2560 by 1600.
Mm-hmm.
And it's reasonably large, but it's still... All those pixels are... And unless you're just in the desktop or something, wasted because it's a portable device. It can't power games to make use of that that amount of detail, that high fidelity, and it's wasting power. And it's just like, come on, just don't.
Yes.
Don't. It's chasing numbers. There's no sense in it. And Nintendo won't. Nintendo will not put... I'm not even going to hedge this. I am not even predicting. I am guaranteeing Nintendo will not put a 1440p screen on the Switch 2. To be honest, I'm not even sure they're going to put a 1080p screen on that.
What does Switch have now?
Oh, my voice broke.
What does Switch have now? 480 or what?
Well, it's 720.
Oh, on the screen?
480, you could tell. Yeah.
Oh, okay, wow.
720.
Okay, I was wrong. What does Steam Deck have? Is that 1080?
It's essentially 720, but it's a different aspect ratio, so it's an 800p screen.
Even that I would take.
It's fine.
Yeah, I have a Steam Deck OLED. Fine. Like, this is great. Like, this is perfect. I would take that. Yeah, I would opt for the 1080p OLED. I don't have as big of an explanation, maybe, which I love your detailed. I love it, by the way. Keep on going. I love those explanations. But for me personally, OLED's nice. It's going to be hard to go back, even though they are rumors, but rumors are saying that the Switch 2 will have an LCD screen to cut costs. I'm not a fan of that. It might be true, might not be true, but I'm not a fan of that. I feel like it's going to be hard to go back now that I have an OLED. But yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Excuse me. I mean, OLEDs are, when it comes to, sort of like contrast and image clarity and stuff like that, OLEDs are generally better.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. They are, sort of almost across the board, they are better. However, a lot has been happening with LCD over the years. And whilst you're never going to be able to get that same contrast level, they are cheaper. And certainly like IPS panels and things like that, you can get some really, really good looking LCDs these days. And if it does cut the cost and it means that it is viable for Nintendo because they tend not to sell their consoles at a loss, I would say, sure, we can get an OLED version later down the line. And I think that'll be fine.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Either way, hopefully Switch 2 is nice. No Name Game asks, this is a bit of a niche one, if Nintendo offered you a Wii Party sequel, Alex, for the Switch, but you had to cancel Super Mario Party Jamboree, would you take it?
No.
Why not? I would take it.
Because I don't have a lot of love for Wii Party. I mean, I don't quite know what else to say. I had Wii Party. No, I had Wii Party U. What am I talking about? I even had that funny stand that made the gamepad flat as opposed to not flat. I'm pretty sure. Do I have Wii Party? I might have Wii Party at this point. I just pick up the occasional game now and then. Mm-hmm. So I may well have Wii Party. Hang on, Wii Party was the one where you had the Mii's and you had like the tank game and you stick your arms out and you had to like make the shapes. Yeah, no, okay, I know Wii Party.
Wait, I think that might have been Wii Play, like the shape game. But
God, they make this easy, don't they? I think you might be right. That might be Wii Play. Wii Party was like the board. There was a board game.
Yeah, it's like the board game.
I don't have that. I don't have that.
Okay.
So No, I'm not giving up Jamboree for that. Get in the bin.
Here's why I say yes. So Wii Party, I loved a lot. That was a game that we had for the Wii, my family. And Wii Party U was one of my favorite Wii U games. It was so much fun. Like with the gamepad and stuff, you could like do things on the gamepad that the other players couldn't see. It was like a fun little way that it worked. Here's my thing about Jamboree. Jamboree, it looks great. I'm a fan. I'm going to buy it. It seems like it'll be amazing. It just looks very similar to Super Mario Party. I'm sure, it'll be different in ways and stuff. But like for me, a Wii Party sequel, I will take that over what we may already have in Super Mario Party. I will take it.
I mean, you've also got to bear in mind that I would have to explain myself to my colleague Felix, who is so excited about Super Mario Party Jamboree that I don't think I'd be able to live it down. So I've got that as well.
Yeah. Super King Dynamic asks, what game franchise do you want to see get Lego-ified next?
Ooh.
Doshin the Giant.
I'm pretty sure you don't need a special set to make Doshin the Giant. He's just a big man, big yellow man. No, I would love... maybe not as like a minifig, because I don't really think it would work, just because I think it's too badass. Metroid, but like either an actual Metroid made of Lego, I think that would be really cool, or like a bust of Samus, that would be really cool, or like, sort of Ridley, I'm, going to put out there, I'm a big Ridley fan, or the Emmys, they'd be great as well. But like a big, like what they call like adult set.
Yeah, like one of those 1,000-piece ones.
Yeah, one of those. That would be fantastic. Star Fox, I think, would work as well. It's difficult to pick one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be really irritating about that. But if I had to pick one, I would say Metroid, as long as it wasn't minifig based, because I don't think it would necessarily work. They managed to make Ridley work in Smash. I can't imagine the amount of work that it took to make that happen, let alone get him down to minifig size. It ain't happening. No. It ain't happening.
No way. But yeah, I mean, freaking
He's too big.
Adult Metroid set, I would take it. I would buy it. For me, I think kind of a layup one, a rather easy one. I'm not sure if it'd be easy, but like I can just see it happen. Splatoon. I think if you could build out like Splatoon maps, or like have this huge set where it builds out the entirety of Splatsville, or like the main area, I think that would be nice. The one that I just named would be a pretty big set. But Splatoon Inkling minifigures, I think that would be nice. A little squid boy that you can put on the set. Give me a Splatoon map as a set. I would like that.
Oh, imagine if they managed to make some way to change the tiles between blank and two different ink colors.
Oh, and see, that would
somehow
be
cool. I don't know how on earth you'd do that. You wouldn't be able to do it on a tile by tile basis, I don't think. At least not with any like mechanical sanity. But maybe if you had like a little roller thing.
Oh yeah,
like a little bit like the NES, or the TV that came with the NES rather.
Yeah.
You have like a little roller system so you can change the color, and you've got like 3 different color. That'd be cool.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah, when you initially said that, I was like, but, a children, because obviously it's going to be largely targeted to children. Are they going to be able to live out their, like, Splatoon fantasies with, like, shooting, and ink and all the ground thing? And it's like, children will make it work. I don't need to worry about this sort of thing. Children have imaginations far beyond ours, and they will make it work. I'd really like to see Lego Splatoon. I think that'd be really cool.
It'd be awesome. If I was 8 and I saw Lego Splatoon at the store, I'd be doing backflips, bro. That'd be great. Expect a Ghost asks, should somebody who has never played an Animal Crossing game before buy Animal Crossing New Horizons and or New Leaf, or should we wait until a brand new Animal Crossing game comes out? Tough decisions, Alex.
They both have their merits. I think there's a lot of people who say, there's nothing to do in New Horizons compared to New Leaf, which I think, with the deepest respect, those people have forgotten New Leaf. Going to Club LOL was just painful. I genuinely disliked that part of the game. The Welcome Amiibo update did add a lot as well, but generally, I would probably say New Horizons. There's not a lot in it, but being able to play it on the big screen makes a big difference. And I think the island layout is really cool, and being able to change it, it's a more modern experience. But there's not a lot in it. I still have a huge amount of love for New Leaf. It was my first 3DS game because I got the 3DS weirdly late because I fell off Nintendo a bit for a while, I must admit.
Yep.
I had an Xbox 360 and I was happy for a long time. I didn't get the Wii when it first came out. I got the Wii surprisingly late into its life.
That explains why you don't have Wii Party. No, I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. I was going to interrupt you and say, careful how you talk, Alex, because Animal Crossing New Leaf is my favorite game of all time. It's amazing. It's amazing. Club LOL, I actually quite liked. Dr. Shrunk in there. Got DJ K.
Oh, yeah. There was all this build up to it. It took ages to get it built, get it all like set up. And then you go in there, it's like, what can you do in there? It's like you can watch an is he an axolotl? I've never really thought about it. I don't know. You can watch a pink thing, pull a face, and then go,
yeah.
At the end, and it's like, I have put hours into this, and this is my reward. I was not happy, I'll be honest.
Could have been executed.
But I imagine quite a bit older at the time.
Could have maybe been executed better. Yeah, I mean, I would agree. I would just say, yes, buy an Animal Crossing game. It's going to be a while until the next one comes out. I would say buy New Horizons, just because that's, it lets you do more than New Leaf does. As you said, both have their merits, their charm, but I would say if you're going to buy one, buy New Horizons. If you don't buy New Horizons, it's going to feel a bit limited because you can't put things outside. You can't do half the things that you can in New Horizons. And oh, by the way, the online servers are down, so have fun playing with friends on that one. But yeah, I would say buy New Horizons right now. I've been waiting for New Horizons to go. Do you think that they'll do like the Nintendo Selects, like the Selects lineup, where they like have all the games half off, or somewhere around that?
At this point, probably not, because they have the eShop.
Yeah.
So they can just do a price cut there, and yet they don't.
Yeah.
They've done it for a few things, but no. They don't have the incentive, I would say. But at the same time, I'm not an economist. I'm not a business-minded person. So I don't know whether there are factors that I don't fully understand or appreciate or have considered. But I would say they don't need to. So why would they? But again, I've been wrong before. They did it with the 3DS. Did they? I think they did for like a handful of games. Didn't they? Didn't they do it for like Mario Party the Top 100? Or something. I'm just remembering red box art.
Oh, yes. I think Mario Kart 7, at least here in the US, Top 100. I'm looking right now. Island Tour, I think, maybe. I could be wrong. Oh, and New Super Mario Bros. 2. I can see it right now.
That sounds about right, yeah. I don't think I have any, but that's just me. Didn't know where I was going with that one.
I would love some red Switch box. Well, they're all red, but like red boxes.
You know what I'd love? A Switch with a screen.
Heck yeah, something that we don't have. Speaking of Switches with screens, our next question, we're almost done here. Do you think that Nintendo will ever do double-screened consoles again?
Maybe,
yeah, I don't know.
Next question. No, it's possible. I do think that I don't want to say that they've exhausted what you can do with multiple screen gaming. I think that's foolish. But I do think that, in a way, in terms of like the Nintendo legacy, people are now expecting games to be backwards compatible for a long period of time. And I think Nintendo want to celebrate that and honor it. And I think they've made a rod for their own back with that. Because you could make certain games work. DS games and 3DS games work on the Switch. Brought over, like, say, on Nintendo Switch Online. But it would be an exercise in frustration because you got things like you've got to take touch input into account and how do you orientate the screens? It's not straightforward. And so I think, never say die. It's Nintendo. You never know what they're going to do next. Maybe they'll do something with multiple screens in the future. But I think certainly for the foreseeable future, I don't think that's going to be their MO.
Yeah. I was hoping that the Switch 2 would have like those... There was a rumor, there was a mock-up of how it would have 2 screens that could like detach, and you could backwards compatible Wii U and 3DS. If you have them both attached, you can do 3DS. If you have 2 detachable screens, one goes in the dock and one is the gamepad. That'd be perfect, but I don't think it'll ever happen because that's a lot of money. 2 nice screens.
Yeah, it's a lot of money. Also, they could just do that with 2 Switch consoles now.
That is true.
I mean, they can't attach, obviously.
But that's more money.
But, sort of certainly when it comes to like Wii U gamepad stuff, I've often thought, why don't they do that? And to be honest, they probably just don't want to push people out of having it. I mean, they already did that very lightly with the Switch Lite and Super Mario Party. It's not really compatible. Yeah. And Mario Party Jamboree, they're like, oh my God, some people couldn't play it. And so they're now... sort of like it is now compatible. I think certain mini games aren't compatible. We don't know because it's not out yet, but the way that they described it, I would assume that's the case. Yeah. Nintendo want it to be a reasonably simple process to buy a game and just play it. Look at how few new Nintendo Switch, new Nintendo 3DS games, like exclusive games, actually existed. Yeah. Very few. There was like Xenoblade Chronicles,
Minecraft
3D.
Yep, that too.
Mm-hmm. Minecraft was an exclusive. Yeah. Oh, for goodness sake. Yeah, there aren't many. Nintendo don't want to do that.
I would hope for a double screen console. It'd be nice, but I would also hope for it to work. So that is my answer. Bit of a funny one. We have a few left. Camden asks, do you think that you could beat Toad in a fight, Alex?
Yes.
Same here. I just thought that was a funny one.
Any other character from the Mushroom Kingdom, I think I'd struggle with because I'm not exactly a buff man, but Toad is reasonably short, and my legs, not to toot my own horn or anything like that, my legs are enormous. I do not deserve my legs. I've got like footballers' thighs and footballers' calves, and they're just pure muscle. I don't deserve any of it. I don't know why I've got them. But yeah, so I could just boot him away.
Yeah.
I mean, my inhibitions would probably make it a bit harder, but if he was attacking me, I could give it a go. I think Toads are technically adults, like, so I could get away with it.
Yeah, for sure.
I think if Toads were technically children, I don't think I could do it.
Yeah.
Morality would get in the way.
So your way of beating him is just booting him away. I think I would just stomp on him.
You see, it depends how tall Toad is. I mean, I've got to be honest, Toad... Apologies, but Toad isn't real. So Toad's like canonical height is going to be like stomping, sort of if Toad came up to like your waist, stomping like that's going to be that's going to be challenging, isn't it?
Tough.
Yeah, I mean, if there was a higher surface nearby, you could jump off with 2 feet, but then I think you're going to be finding yourself in you've just put the image in my head now of curb stomping Toad. I don't want to do that.
Okay. That is some image. But you could...
There you go. Curb stomping Toad. That's free. You can have that.
You could beat Toad in a fight. I would like to think that I could as well. He's done. Second to last question.
That boy's toast.
Yeah. User asks, do you think... This is kind of obvious. I should have thought more. Do you think that there's any Mario mainline games in the works? Let's change that question to what do you think might be in the works? Because there's got to be something going on.
I mean, I was going to say yes, because Nintendo is always working on things in the background. And always I mean, I don't know how long Wonder was in production, but I imagine it was probably pre-COVID. Mm-hmm. That's only a guess. I hasten to point out I don't have any insider information. I wish I did.
I believe they said 10 years. Oh wait!
10 years?
No, sorry. Wait, no, sorry. I'm stupid. I was thinking.
What were they doing all that time?
I'm stupid. I was thinking of just the gap between Mario Bros. U and Wonder. I'm stupid. But what I had heard,
admittedly, it still could be. No, honestly, it could be that it was a project that they started and then there was reworked a number of times. But in theory, the original kernel of the idea did start 10 years ago. It is possible. I laughed, but Now I'm ashamed. I apologize.
What I had mixed up was they had no deadline. I saw that come out like in a Q&A or whatever with the devs.
Yeah.
That was what I had mixed up with like the whole 10-year thing. Who knows when it began? But yeah, they're probably working on something. I would hope a little launch title for the Switch 2.
Yeah.
Little 3D Mario action. I'd hope for that.
Yeah, I imagine. I mean, maybe not a 3D Mario, but it's entirely possible that it is. Certainly, a follow-up to Wonder, I think, is all but guaranteed. To be brutally honest, because it was so well received, and they've got the framework now. It's a lot easier for them to just make another one. And whilst that may not be as exciting, we live in times where, reality exists and they will want something reasonably straightforward to release. And I think whether it's Super Mario, it's Mario Bros. Wonder. I always just want to call it Super Mario Wonder. But Wonder, I'll just call it Wonder. Wonder, maybe Wonder 2, I don't know. It might have a different subtitle. But either way, I imagine that's a high possibility.
Mm-hmm.
I think I meant to say high likelihood, but I stand by what I said.
High likelihood. I'm hoping for a 3D Mario. I honestly wouldn't want it to be related to Odyssey 2. Or sorry, like related to Odyssey and be in Odyssey 2. I want something totally different. Give me that, and I'd be excited. Our final question from Mobile Masters. What is the best NES or SNES game? Options.
I don't wish to poo-poo the question at all, but I don't like what is the best? I understand it's meant to put you on the spot and go, oh God, but it's like, it's not that I refuse to sort of like categorize games like that. I just find it very difficult because games are such a wide and varied medium. Mm-hmm. I mean, if they're saying, well, I suppose if they say the best, they're looking for some sort of form of objectivity, in which case, I would say if you're talking objectively, probably the original Super Mario Bros. Mm-hmm. Or Super Mario World, or maybe Mario Bros. 3. Because you're not asking what's my favorite, you're asking what the best is. And those are two very different questions.
Can we ask what is your favorite?
No, we can't. I mean, my favorite SNES game, very boring. Mario World, I would say. Very boring answer, but come on.
But it's a good answer.
It's so good. Yeah. It's so good. And I wasn't exposed to SNES, and certainly not NES. NES wasn't actually. Some people try and tell you otherwise. The NES wasn't a big thing here in the UK. It just wasn't. Some people are like, oh, but it's like, no. It may have shipped that number of units. That doesn't mean what it's sold. I mean, it was released originally by Mattel in the UK, which was weird. And it wasn't a big thing over here. I didn't see a NES in the flesh until I maybe was, honestly, like 16.
Yep.
Like, seriously. SNES, I had one at my grandmother's house. I played that thing to death. So really for me, the real sort of like gems in my head are always N64 onwards and like the original Game Boy. But SNES, yeah, it's probably Super Mario. I was about to say, what other games came out for the SNES? I'll have a look in my drawer. I've got a special drawer full of games. Oh, God, I've got a charger in the way. And it's mainly N64 games, I'm not going to lie. Street Fighter. Donkey Kong Country was great, obviously. I have a big fondness for Stunt Race FX. Ooh. Nah, Super Mario World, sorry. Boring answer.
Nah. It may be considered a boring answer, not to me, but to everyone. But it's a good answer. It's a great game. It's phenomenal. I remember playing that, I think, on my laptop on some bootleg site back in the day when I was like 5. It was fantastic. But my answer, I haven't played a whole lot of SNES. Mario World is great. I'm gonna just shorten it to NES games. And honestly, while there's a lot of great stuff out there with more depth than this game, I think I'm going to change it also to favorite game. I think I had great memories with just, as mine's more boring than yours is, just the original Donkey Kong. My mom liked it, and it was like one of the first NES games I've played. Can you call it NES? Because it's like
oh, that's not even the good version.
But like, I had played it back in the day. We had it. It was the only ever Wii U Virtual Console game that we bought. Donkey Kong. So I was playing it like for hours, Alex. I think it's just like the one I have the most memories with and have. I just like it a lot. I can play that. Like when I was playing NES World Championships, first game was Donkey Kong that I wanted to play out of all of them. It's just, I would say, my favorite, even though there are definitely better games with more depth to them. I would say Donkey Kong. Boring, but my answer.
It's a legitimate answer. I mean, when you're saying favor and you're talking subjective, everything's legitimate. It's when people talk about, sort of like best and things like that, and try and get it down to like a quantifiable thing. And it's like, you are talking about art here. It's like, what's the best piece of art?
That one.
It depends on what you like. It depends how well it's been preserved. And even then, art inherently has to serve. I can't remember who said this, but someone argued that art has to inherently serve no other purpose than itself. So I've just realized I don't really realize how that's relevant.
It was making sense. It was making sense. But
well, that's more than I usually make.
There we go. But that was the final question, and that is it for the Mario Matter episode 102. Alex, you're on episode 102. Do you have any connection to the number 102? None.
Oh, yeah, I'm 102 years old. I've got 102 toes. My house is made of 102 rooms.
And he has 102 gaming consoles connected to one TV. He's trailing the one guy.
I probably have 102 games of something.
Well,
for some sort of system somewhere.
102 exactly?
I mean, I know. No, probably not. But
that is it.
I've got more than 102 games.
True. Yep.
It's a shame. I was about to say it's a shame and then go off on some sort of tangent that would be largely meaningless to 99% of your audience.
That 1%.
But I could say, if there's one person out there, I could just say, this will be meaningless to you, I'm sure. I could just say, I've got 104 friends.
Okay, well, hopefully somebody out there gets it. If you get it, please comment. That is it, Alex. I asked guests, where they can find you online. Any upcoming projects you have that you can share? You're on Nintendo Life. You're on Twitter. I found you on Blue Sky.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with that at all. Alex, I made an account to reach out to you.
Mate. Yeah, I don't use Twitter anymore because I don't like it. It's become even more of a cesspool than when I enjoyed it. And it's been really nice going over to Blue Sky. I'm not plugging it or anything. Well, all right, I'll plug it a bit. It's just nice. It's just calm. It's just relaxing. It's not as I was about to say it's not as politically charged. I suppose in a way it is, but in a more positive way. And you don't get nearly as much news or anything there. But to be honest, it's the next best thing to not going on social media. It's a much more sort of like, it's a soft social media experience.
Like Twitter Lite.
And it is like Twitter Lite. It's like friendly Twitter. It's like Twitter back in like 2012 or whenever I joined. So yeah, it's a much more chilled out, relaxed experience. I like it. I don't use it that often. But I've basically given up on Twitter now, which I'm quite pleased about. I'm never calling it the other name.
But the people can find you on Nintendo Life's YouTube channel. You make some videos on there. There you go. You're on some social medias. They can search you out. Do you have like a common username, like on Instagram or Blue Sky, like at?
I'm not on. I'm technically on Instagram. Yeah. I don't use it. Just search my name, and if you spell it right, you'll get there. I have difficulty with my surname. Olney, Alex Olney. The amount of times I have to spell that in my life, my God.
I believe your link's down below. That is it. We hope you enjoyed. I will see you next week.
Oh, and be sure to check out NintendoLife.com, of course.
Yes, I should have plugged that. Go over there and read the article of the man who plugged in 400 gaming consoles into one TV. We were there and we read it, so that's a cool experience. I will see you all next week for more. Comment if you got Alex's reference. And I will see you all next week. Adios.
Bye-bye.